Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out.
That's right. The curtain rises.
Lies spinning from there.
The curtain rises, and here are your players. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Thursday, January the 4th, 2023. We're coming to you live from Carter County, Tennessee, here in the middle of the Iron Mountain, where it's about 23 degrees right now. Hope y'all are staying warm wherever you are. I'm joined via the Bill Gates Space Magic of Skype by Aaron Armageddon of the Armageddon Hour podcast. So please be sure and go and like the video, favorite it, retweet it, share it around wherever your friends are, and let's have some more people in on this conversation. You can follow Aaron at the links in the description there with his Armageddon Hour podcast on YouTube, and you can follow us on X. That is also in the description of the video, and if you're on X, go ahead and follow us on YouTube too, and Rumble as well. We're trying to be on as many channels as we can, that way we can we can say whatever we want, and if we go down in one place, well, you know where to find us. So we just want to get everybody used to following us in these multiple places. That way, if we're not on your favorite platform, then you can find us somewhere else. So with that said, how's it going, Aaron?
I'm going good. It's going good, man. Hopefully everybody else has had a good year so far. 4 days into it. Luckily, we're still good. So,
well, as the title of the video would suggest, we are off to a wild start indeed. We started off New Year's Day with crazy volcanoes and earthquakes all over around the, on the Pacific, over there around Japan, between Japan and China. We had them stretching all the way down. We had a 4.5 earthquake down off the coast of California. We've had crazy, all kinds of wild stuff popping off geologically speaking. We had crazy solar storm at the same time. There was some speculation that the grid might go down or something, but that didn't happen, at least not yet. But who knows?
yeah.
I don't know exactly how long that solar material takes to get here. It's not traveling at the speed of light. A lot of the CME stuff that could potentially cause us to have some sort of outage. We did have a lot of aurora borealis activity over the past several days. So maybe that's all we'll get, just some brighter green skies up there in the very northern hemisphere. Let's see, my chat window is not coming through, so I'm going to reload that. And everybody say hello in the chat. Tell us where you're at. Are y'all freezing?
What's up,
Are you staying warm?
There? See Dalton so far.
Good to have you, Dalton, as always. I'm loading that chat up. For some reason, it's not showing for me, so we're
I'm sure I can hear myself.
there we go. Let's see if we can get over. Whoops. Yeah, my chat window is being crazy right now, so I can't see your chat, but hopefully, I think I fixed it now, but it's not showing me the ones that you gave earlier, so you can read that for us there, if you don't mind, Aaron.
Oh, yeah, it's just Dalton saying great year so far, so that's good.
Good, man.
Same here.
Have you started a new job yet, Dalton? I hope you get that worked out soon. That sounds like a good gig for you, brother. And actually probably one of the only constitutional things that the government actually does, and that's the post office. So congratulations on, if you are going to work for the federal government, at least you're working for a constitutionally sound, or and that's one of the reasons that the government's able to build roads, federally, is because building post roads, constitutionally speaking, and they can build post offices. But most of the other stuff they do, they really have no authority to do, and including a lot of the law enforcement that they do, there's really no constitutional authority. But that doesn't stop them from doing it. They just pass a law creating the FBI. Next thing you know, J. Edgar Hoover is blackmailing all the politicians, and that's probably the reason the whole thing was created. Is he starts making these files on all these politicians, and if somebody's not doing something that he likes, he takes them a picture of them doing whatever it is that they wouldn't want their loved ones to know about. And next thing you know, they're changing their vote, or they're seeing things his way, whatever it may be. And that was all the way back to the very beginning of the FBI. So, and we already know for sure they had blackmail files on Martin Luther King. They took audio recordings of him with other women and sent him to his wife.
Yeah, try to blackmail him and stuff. Try to get him to. They gave it to him pretty heavy, man.
Yeah, and they did the same thing.
Well, I mean, obviously they killed the poor guy in Memphis, man. And that was the difference between that was a really, the way Martin Luther King handled it was the peaceful way, and he was a pastor too.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King. So he just the peaceful way. If you don't give them a reason to be fascist, it basically force them to be violent, force them to break the law, force them to violate our laws.
Don't be the monsters that they say we are.
Exactly. Yeah. If you be peaceful for now, but it's like there's a line there, somewhere.
Well, it's like if you see though, if we're supposed to be in a country that respects, the freedom of assembly and freedom of speech and these kinds of things that are espoused in the First Amendment, then we better have a damn good reason for turning fire hoses on people and beating people down in the street and things like this. So the whole point was, let's not be aggressive. If people are aggressive against us, then they'll see who the true monster is. And that's why you change public opinion and culture. It's not by who's
that's not how they're protesting.
No, I'm saying it was back in the day though.
But now that's not. It's a different game now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they've let them do it, and then just burn all these buildings, like federal buildings.
And now they say that Martin Luther King. They a lot of people are saying he was a bad guy because he was teaching the opposite of what they're teaching today with a lot of the the CRT and DEI and stuff. That he said judge a man based on the content of their character, and he had a dream that basically his children would grow up in the same world as everybody else, and that they would all have the same opportunities, and that they basically would be a colorless society. Well, they've decided that no, that's not acceptable.
He wanted equality.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Malcolm X didn't want equality. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted equality. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference there. It's all about ideology. As long as you're not trying to force your views on anybody else, it's just simple freedoms. And I can tell you from experience, firsthand, some things I've been through recently, it's like a dystopian nightmare now. I mean, I've seen more violent. I mean, I've seen the law just get absolutely. The last year, I think everyone would agree, probably would too, for everything from Owen Schroyer to just all these fake indictments against anyone. They've weaponized it and they've used it to come after their political enemies.
And now they've filed. I think they filed charges against Taylor Hanson, who was outside of the Capitol documenting. He was not even like a conservative. He was a journalist there. But
there's someone very close to me that my old neighbor. I'm not gonna say this. I don't want to cause any issues, But he's going to be in there for at least a couple decades. He's still in there from that day,
Well, a relative of mine was involved in it. He's actually going to come on the channel and talk with us now that all his stuff is taken care of, and he's, he's in the clear as far as that goes for, everything.
It's the First Amendment's what they've tested so hardcore. It's like they're putting it to the stress test. It seems like,
Yeah. It's failing over and over again, but at least with a lot of people say we'd be better off if we didn't even have it, but at least we, have the idea that we're supposed to follow it. So some people still say, hey, you can't do that, and I don't think most people really, as far as the powers that be, don't really care, but every now and then they have to pretend like they do.
Exactly, yeah, to keep the illusion,
Because whoever's in power, they only have basically. They can only govern with the will of the governed, basically, because there's so many of us that they got to keep on our good side to a degree. I mean,
I have this gut feeling. I have this feeling in my gut though. It's like I do see Trump coming back and winning, but it's like the whole thing. I feel like it's like an episode of old school WWF. You know what I mean? Like Vince McMahon's gonna come
With the
out. And it's
steel
just,
chair! Oh my God! Oh my God!
yeah. Which that's the best case scenario. You know, is at least he comes back and things get fixed at least. But if that happens, yeah, it's kind of going to be like I said, it's going to feel very like the whole thing was kind of. I think we all know the word I'm looking for, but I don't know.
A show.
Yeah, yeah, but a really ugly one after all they put us through. You know,
Yeah.
I just hope they don't hit us with any more of those weird things that lock everything down. You know,
For
maybe
sure.
those vampirish things we don't speak of, so we don't get violated.
For sure. Now, listen, we were talking about the FBI being a blackmail operation. We were also talking, I don't know if you saw us last week. We mixed it in there a little bit later in the episode, but we had the episode, the article from, I'm sorry, got the wrong screen cap there. Got the article from Law and Crime where Tennessee about Sean Williams. This is a national law journalism publication, and here's some photos of Sean Williams in his booking photos. The lawsuit alleges that the Tennessee police took part in a multi-year sex trafficking conspiracy to shield a serial rapist whose victims included children in exchange for hundreds of thousands in cash, the lawsuit claims. And then they go on to outline a little bit of that. It's an 85-page filing, and this gives a story about it and talks a little bit about it. But we've actually covered it in more detail than is mentioned in here on the channel. But the long and short of it is, I think Law and Crime, I'm glad that this is being put into a major legal publication, and I'm also glad that it was on national news via News Nation, and so it's really gotten it out there. And I think, though, that this lawsuit, even I mean, maybe it's right and it was just money exchanged, but I feel like there has to be more than just money. I feel like this guy has to have the goods on people to get them to cover up for the kinds of crimes he was committing, including, videoing, we'll say, child abuse material. He was videoing that. He was trafficking, accused of trafficking,
Manufacturing it, and human trafficking.
Yeah. So there's all these charges, and would you? I mean, how much money would it take for somebody to cover up for somebody doing that sort of thing? I think it's going to take a lot more than hundreds of thousands of dollars spread out over, the dozens of people who had to be involved in this. And remember, the chief, the police chief retired, took early retirement right as this started hitting the news about the cover up potentially taking place. And then so did several of the bigwigs there at the JCPD. So that shows you that they were distancing themselves from that right away.
There's two theories. Either what they're saying has happened and they took the financial bribes, or basically they were given money to just leave so they can sweep the situation under the rug, and they can just say, okay, well, everyone that was involved is gone now.
Yeah.
Let's just forget about this.
Yeah, I think it's too late for that.
That's what would happen.
I think they were hoping that would probably happen, but
it still makes you wonder if he was involved in the drugs, large amounts of drugs, interstate trafficking drugs, and human trafficking, manufacturing CP, and the drugs and human trafficking. That's just two things that go hand in hand. And the people who are involved in those kinds of things, especially human trafficking, are sketchy. It's a scary thing to be involved with or even talk about, because these people are not ugly people. Anyone that is so just moralless and cold to where they could just view human beings like roadkill, like a commodity, then they're nasty people,
Well,
that you're dealing with,
you were talking with regard to the CP, and we'll transition into the main topic of the story. We had, that story several years ago about, we'll call it the gate of pizzas, or we'll call it that. Because you say it in the other direction, and we'll definitely get the video pulled off YouTube talking about it. But when you talk about this in the national press, when this story started hitting it, you try to debunk this, and all these stories are coming from the national press with no article cited, and they're like, oh, this has been fully debunked. And then when you click on the link to see where they've debunked it. It's just another article that, say, Politico wrote saying, well, this is debunked. And you can keep going around and around, but you'll never find an actual document that says that it was debunked. But see, here's the thing. It inevitably, in the national conversation, ends up talking about a pizza restaurant and basements, and that was never what this was about. This was about the emails that were found on Hillary Clinton's server from John Podesta, who was a high-level Democratic operative. He's in the White House right now. I think they call him the climate czar. I'm not sure exactly which department he's over, but some sort of cabinet-level appointment there. And he was running Hillary Clinton's campaign at the time. He goes way back into Democrat politics, and he's a bigwig up there. But these emails from him had code words that are recognized by the FBI as being code for different kinds of child abuse material and related terms. So these things were being used like crazy in those emails, and that's what the Gate of Pizzas was all about. It was not about a pizza restaurant. And then conveniently, you had a crazy person who was connected to all these intelligence industrial complex company who went in and said he was going to save the children at the Comet Ping Pong Pizzeria, shot the server where a lot of this data about anything that was going on would have been stored. But that was enough to turn the news stories away from the actual conversation that should have been happening about the fact that these emails that were released by WikiLeaks were determined. They were shown to be true. They were shown to be real, and it was about Podesta using these code words. So they never debunked that, but it's been back in the news lately because we had several FBI cases where they were in fact using the word pizza to charge people and saying that this was a known code word. So this has been back in the news because these documents were released publicly. Now, the CNN
reporter who said that it was fake, that Pizzagate was fake, he ended up getting arrested for child pornography. I can't make this up, man.
Yeah. That was one of the main debunking stories that they went to, and they've pulled that one out of the rotation.
But the ones saying it's fake were doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
They were the ones that were in the media were covering it up.
Yep.
You know.
Now we've got. Yeah, that's right, man. And so when we remember this, you got to take that. This is a large scale. This is wealthy, powerful people who are involved in this sort of thing, right? And when we get to the Epstein documents, that's where we're going with this ultimately, is because some of these were released from a lawsuit from Virginia Jeffries Roberts, or Jeffrey, or however you say her name, against Ghislaine Maxwell. And it's a civil suit, but a lot of the details from it had been kept sealed until yesterday. But now, I will say, some of these things have been out for a while. They've been leaked on 4chan. And they've been sharing around the internet, but was really no way to say for sure that they were authentic, but a lot of them were. But we've also seen things that were definitely not authentic that have been thrown out there, I think, intentionally to throw people off of things. Yeah. Like, for one, you had King Bao. He was calling out, the MMA fighter was calling out Jimmy Kimmel, and then Aaron Rodgers, the football player, called him out, and Jimmy Kimmel put out this big post on X saying, quit saying that I went to Epstein. I don't know anything about him, never been there, and or I'm going to sue you, to Aaron Rodgers. And then there came when the Epstein documents were released. Now this is not the flight logs. This is not the client list. So like I said, this is big, but it's not everything like a lot of people are telling you it is. But as Alex Jones had said, it's a thread, but it could be the thread that unravels the whole sweater of this network. So. We'll definitely dig into it and keep going. I've got several things that I wanted to show you from it, and we could discuss it. But just to give you a bit, I'm going to give you a look at here. This is the first of 8 pages of the documents right here. And so look at all these attachments, all these PDFs, all these exhibits. This is just the first of 8 pages of this. So there's a lot to look through. So we got 3 separate releases now that came out over the past few days, and people have been pouring through them and going over everything. But like I said, this is one of 8 pages that I'm looking at here. But it's hard to find everything in here. So one of these things that was fake was a screenshot of, it was supposedly a witness deposition where the witness claimed to have had relations with Jimmy Kimmel, but it was fake. So we're seeing some of that stuff come out. It's muddying the waters. So let's keep that in mind. And I want to look at something that just came out. We've already seen, and it came out a few days beforehand, that Bill Clinton was going to be named. The New York Post was reporting up to 2 or 3 days before that Bill Clinton was going to be named as John Doe number 36, and in fact he was. And it also it became a witness deposition, and this is just a witness deposition. It's not he's not been charged or convicted with any of these things. But the witness said that she was familiar with Bill Clinton, and that she had never had anything to do with him, but that she was a friend of Epstein, and that Epstein had told her that, quote, he likes them young. So, it's not definitive evidence, but it is a pretty big deal. We had that come out. We had that Stephen Hawking was involved with a midget orgy on the island. Are you for real? Yes, I am. Now, a lot of people were surprised by this, saying, "Oh, Stephen Hawking couldn't have done that because he's, quadriplegic. So how would he even do it?" But if you've read any of Stephen Hawking's books, which I've read 3 of them,
all you have to do is roll him into the room.
He's kind of a perv, dude.
You know what I mean? Like,
he's perving out on Marilyn Monroe all the time in all his books. He talks about. It's like you'd think for somebody making a popular science book that he would kind of leave the sex references out of it, but no, he doesn't.
I'm here to see some titties.
I came here to chew bubblegum and bang midgets, and I'm all out of bubblegum. But let's see. I'm going to look at this real quick. This the best Hawking memes from Alex Cohen on Twitter. So let's look at some of these real quick. Stephen Hawking, as soon as the plane touched down on Epstein's Island, and the blanket comes off, and he stands up out of the wheelchair. Here we got, let's go back here. Stephen Hawking on his way to Epstein Island after hearing there was an orgy going on. And we got the underwater wheelchair going for a little swim. Stephen Hawking rolling up to Epstein's Island. Crashing through the window. How Stephen Hawking when his debit card got declined on Epstein Island. I don't know what movie this is from, but do you remember this? I remember seeing this when I was a kid. It was kind of traumatic. Everybody knows what movie that is, put it in the chat. With the kid falling off the cliff.
Your screen's kind of blocking it. Your screen's blocking the video.
Oh, sorry. Oh, on the, let me see here.
Oh, the kid in the wheelchair.
Yeah, do you remember that?
It's not Silver Bullet, is it?
No.
Stephen King movie? Vampire? No.
Oh, I need to fix that. I didn't know my screen was over top of that.
Damn, that poor fella done got yeeted.
Let me fix that screen real quick so y'all can see these better. Sorry about that.
You just stand up and be like, I'm fixed. The fall fixed me. I can walk now. And he fell that far. Like, if you live, can you? Yeah.
All right, let's see here. Let me fix that real quick. We're going to have to go put our display capture up over top. There we are. Now then, back to business. Back to the best Hawking memes there. This movie here, if anybody remembers this movie, you can tell me what this is in the chat. Let me know.
It looks like it's definitely late 70s, early 80s movie.
I really don't remember. I remember seeing it as a kid. Like, holy shit.
How did that kid get yeeted off that?
I don't remember.
He just flew off there. No parachute or nothing. Oh, his brakes went out. Oh, I see
now. Yeah.
He's like, oh, no.
And then, here's...
I don't know, man. I don't remember that one.
Here's God throwing Stephen Hawking out of heaven after he found out he was on the Epstein list.
want to see a monster, though.
Anthony Kiedis has been mentioned on every list I've ever seen.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, which sucks.
Right up there because, you know, Bill Gates was on there too. And this was not just a politician operation, right? This was capturing people in tech. This was capturing people in big science. This was getting the movers and shakers of the world, no matter what field they were in, to basically make sure they were moving and shaking in the right direction. And just like we talked about with the Playboy Mansion, just like we talked about with the Nixium, the ring that was run by Keith Rainier and that Stormy Daniels was likely involved in, and Allison Mack, the Smallville actress who was involved in recruiting women for this, and it also included the Bronfman sisters of the Seagram's liquor fortune. So we had all kinds of crazy stuff going on with these like crazy sex cults. We came out in 2019, they released the FBI, the Finders cult. They actually were trafficking children from underneath, you know, religious preschools and things in the 90s. And if you remember when that McMartin school came out and they were alleging that all these children had been trafficked through there, they left out the fact that they did find tunnels under there, and a lot of these things did add up, but this was supposedly debunked, but it's just not the truth. But anyway, this stuff keeps coming out. We find out that, and like I said, the Finders Cult came out in 2019. We've got, really, if you look at one of the things that, one of the Q drops that was really important was about Rachel Chandler, and this woman who's on Instagram sharing pictures of herself as like 14, 15, 16 with all these celebrities. And then she's got these crazy pictures that are allegedly of the security cameras from Epstein Island, which I don't think are security cameras at all. I think they're blackmail cameras. And, you know, what you can say what you want about Q, but those things did come out, and that was information that I had never seen before. What's that, Aaron?
They took boxes and boxes and boxes of evidence. They said there was even VHS tapes. That's how long they had been doing the operations. VHS tapes, the CDs and DVDs, files.
Yeah.
They stored everything. Of course, as things advance, technology changes, all this digital.
And the opening from when they were raiding the island, people were taking drone footage. A lot of people say that Rusty Shackelford account that was sharing the drone footage on YouTube was likely John McAfee, and that he was that he got video of him, and you could watch. It's probably not on YouTube anymore. It wasn't last time I checked. But there were hours and hours of drone footage flying around Epstein Island, and he got the FBI in there collecting things. And it later came out that in his Manhattan penthouse, they collected a safe. We don't know what all he collected from the Epstein Island, but in the Manhattan penthouse, there was a safe with, like Aaron said, documents, videotapes, CDs, disk drives, hard drives, labeled
tapes,
like nudes, all these different things. But I'm sure there were other labels too. That's just the one that the news told us. But
the reason why they want Stephen Hawking there is because they want these political figures, scientific. They want the scientists and doctors and all those people. They want all of them blackmailed. They don't want anybody, even Stephen Hawking, all of them. Neil deGrasse Tyson, probably. Anybody like that. And he gives off the vibes of someone that would totally fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Like he would totally like.
Yeah, if he wants the what do you call it? The clout.
I'd say there's a lot of people who want to come out on things, but they're blackmailed.
Yep.
They can't.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Well, so that's
they're all going to go down eventually, which is good. They all need to be made an example. This, gosh, it's so crazy, man. Sad. It's sad that we have degraded as a society and culture to this level. That they would go to this level just for power and control. They'll do anything for it, including bombing any country,
And right now, I think blackmail's the ultimate currency. And this is what we're going to get around to tonight, where we're going to ultimately end up, is that this is not the Epstein operation. Epstein was not. They're trying to make it out like he is like this kingpin. For one, I don't even think he was the head of his own operation. I think Ghislaine Maxwell is the head of the operation, and that Jeffrey Epstein was kind of the front man, but he was just a front man for a bigger organization. He's collecting all this blackmail, but it's not for himself. He's not blackmailing personally for his own gains, maybe to a small degree, but ultimately he's got somebody he's working for. Okay, he's in intelligence in some capacity, whether it's Mossad, CIA.
He's like a triple agent too.
I mean, yeah,
He's like
and
a
all
triple
these
agent.
all these things, all these different intelligence agencies, they're ultimately connected at the top because they all share information. They all work towards the same goals. So it really doesn't matter which
Like
one he's a part of.
Interpol and things like that.
What's that?
Like Interpol and UN and
Yeah, it's all for the big banks, and I mean, it's
well, Maxwell's daddy was a big intel guy too.
yeah. Robert Maxwell, he was always assumed to be high level
He was
Mossad,
intelligent.
and he owned the newspaper over there in Israel. I forget the name of the paper, but it was a big publication, and yeah, so that would make a lot of sense, and especially if if you're giving this blackmail to different organizations like the Mossad and the CIA, then it kind of makes sense that policy always seems to go their way. But we've got a little bit of new information here that just came out. This is from Technofog on Twitter, and we're going to look at this new Jeffrey Epstein files. This is the testimony of a minor who was abused by Epstein, and the question is, at the time, were you 15, 16, or 17 years old? And the witness says yes, and he says no massage experience. She says no. And he says, you were told to bring other girls to his house? And the witness says, after a while, yes. And he said the question was, the massages were turned sexual by Jeffrey as opposed to anyone else? And the witness says, Jeffrey took my clothes off without my consent the very first time I met him. Here we see addition of other John Does and witnesses, some new, all with potential knowledge of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein's sexual trafficking. We've got Bill Clinton, Doug Band, a high-level Clinton advisor, Prince Andrew, and Sophie Biddle, who the Prince Andrew's already been, that's already been talked about a lot. It's pretty much guaranteed that that's the case. We've seen photos of Jeffrey Epstein at what certainly appears to be the Queen of England's hunting cabin. We've also seen that Prince Andrew is friends with Epstein, and we've also seen pictures of Prince Andrew with Virginia Giuffre Roberts when she was underage. So all these things add up to that the prince is in all this stuff too. So is the royal family being blackmailed just like everybody else? Kind of seems that way. We've also seen in the news the past few days, Prince Charles had an emergency meeting calling all of his family in, and there was talk of him possibly abdicating the throne to William. So we'll just have to keep our eye on that and see what goes on. But there's a lot of talk. I know it's foreign, and that doesn't really matter as much as stuff home. But it's such a big name. When you connect to that guy, when you connect to the royal family, and collect to Bill Clinton, these are political royalty on both sides of the pond here. Bill Clinton.
He embraced his evil side. They said that he would have like regular deliveries of children. That he would act like he was like doing like some kind of humanitarian work, but they were really into. He was friends with Jimmy Savile, who was like a notorious pedophile and child abuser too,
and totally connected to the royal family. Yes, indeed. She had lunch with the Queen, I think, regularly. Jimmy Savile did.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Here's an email from Virginia Giuffre to Sharon Churcher. I'm not sure who this is, but she says, good points all that. Let's see, let me look right here. It must be carefully written, not give any notions about the upcoming book or any new info. While I was doing some research into Vanity Fair yesterday, it does concern me that they could want to write about me, considering that Bill Clinton walked into Vanity Fair and threatened them not to write sex trafficking articles about his good friend J.E., Jeffrey Epstein. Should I be asking what this story is pertaining to? So this is Vanity Fair reaching out to her, and I'm sorry, I didn't have that on the screen. Vanity Fair had reached out to her, and she's saying, look, Bill Clinton's already come in there and threatened them not to write stories about this, so I'm a little suspicious, basically, of this. So we got her testimony. That's back in 2011, and Bill Clinton, they did write a article on Epstein in, I think, 2004, and I think that was when Bill Clinton went in and threatened him. But one victim here brought other high school girls to Epstein. Here's witness testimony. Did you bring other girls to him? Yes, I brought friends over. And were they of similar age to you? Yes, they were my peers. High school girls? Correct. So yet another witness they're talking about. Here we've got one. Jeffrey Epstein during these massages would use sex toys or have sex toys used. Well, at that point, it's no longer a massage. Something else is going on. But yes, he would take out adult toys and different things. Mr. Edwards asked, while you were a teenager, Jeffrey Epstein asked you to live with him? And the witness answered, yes, he wanted me to be emancipated. So underage, she would have to be underage to be emancipated. Here's another John Doe known as Sarah Kellen, and she was involved in recruiting girls, and the witness knew that she was doing it, and he said that Epstein would either attempt to fondle the girls or touch the girls inappropriately, at which point he would just have one himself, we'll say, and he would. So there was at least that Epstein would lay on his back and start getting a massage, and then start touching the girls inappropriately, and this was basically a pattern for 30 girls that were interviewed, is what she said. They would interview the girls and then lure them in and sexually abuse them. So this is all stuff that's just coming out tonight. But there's a whole lot more. Like I said, I showed you all that stuff to get for the latest files. If you want to dig through those, they're pretty easy to find. It's Jeffrey versus Maxwell, and you can view all the documents there on
actually about
PDF files.
2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, actually, I made some Epstein videos, like before everybody was even talking about it. But it's just where it's came back out now. But yeah, I totally had forgotten. Yeah, that I made quite a few of them. They're 2 or 3 years old, but I had the Prince in them, and Michael Jackson and stuff. It did come out that Michael Jackson was actually going to the island or riding with him and stuff. Which I don't care what anybody says. That dude was shady. They found shady stuff at that weird, place he lived.
Neverland Ranch.
Neverland Ranch, yeah. Man, that's such a terrible thing. He was a freaky looking dude. He was like a damn alien or something. Something from a damn science fiction movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, golly, he just mutilated his skin and had all that plastic surgery. Shoot, Lord.
Yeah.
Carved his bone out.
Looked all, yeah. And
I've had to have my nose reconstructed surgically and pull all bone around, move bone around and pull bone out and, cartilage and stuff. And I don't know why anybody would pay money to God Almighty.
And end up looking like a total ghoul, man.
Oh, yeah. Crypt Keeper. Nancy Pelosi. Man,
well, I've got one more story for tonight. There's going to be stuff continuing to come out on the Epstein stuff, but like I said, it's not what we're looking for, but it's a good start. So, maybe we can pull that thread and find enough to really unravel the thing. Let's see here. The last story for the night is actually a story from. It originally came from the Daily Mail. I'm not sure how old the story is. I'm thinking it was, like Aaron said, I think it's from last year. Oh, here we go. And but it was released in the New York Post on the 2nd. No, this is from the 1st. Police are investigating, and this is from the Daily Mail. Police are investigating the first case of rape in the metaverse after a child was attacked in a virtual reality game. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? The headset-wearing victim did not suffer any injuries as there was no physical attack, but she was under the age of 16 and was said to have been left distraught after her avatar was gang raped by online strangers.
What do they do, like teabagger, like in Halo back in the day?
Yeah, that's what I wonder, because, does it have a rape...
Dip on them?
Does it have a button, like push here to bang button, or...
I think they probably just did a teabag, like old school Halo teabag.
What else would they do? Officers say she suffered the same psychological and emotional trauma as someone who has been raped in the real world, as the VR experience is designed to be completely immersive. And it's thought to be the first time in the UK that virtual sexual offense has been investigated by police. And I guarantee it won't be the last. They're all the time getting investigated for, comments
it's like
they make online.
It's like a dystopian nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a dystopian nightmare.
It is. I mean, well, for one, the thing that really gets me, you have to have a license to have a TV. You have to pay for a
Don't
license.
let all those rapes, those actual rapes in the real world, just go unsolved, But then they're going to go look for someone over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they have the. You think we have our narco tyranny here? I mean, you talk about it in the UK where gangs of migrants are
yep,
literally forming rape gangs, and there's been videos on it where they were sharing some online. I saw a couple passed around X where it was like they would actually interview these guys, and they showed no remorse at all. They asked them like, "Do you feel bad sometimes after you do these things?" And they're like, "Oh well, yeah, sometimes I do wonder that I'm might get an infection." And they're like, "Oh well, do what about for the women?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, sometimes I worry that I'm gonna have a child, and who's gonna raise that child?" And he's like, "Yes, but for the women who you're you know forcing yourself on and harming," I was like, "Do you not have any feelings for them?" And they're just kind of like they just are completely silent for that time. So it's pretty wild that. Um, that these were allowed to go on.
like I've never really thought about
Yeah,
this now that you mention
yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like
And I
the
know that's
culture
just one
thing,
case, but the fact is there's lots
ideology.
of there's many such that go on, and they're and a lot of times they're not prosecuted. Meanwhile, people will comment and misgender somebody online, and the police will come and literally arrest them for it.
Drag you out of your house in front of your family
Yep, and they've got
over a Facebook post.
yep, they
Yep.
sure will, and they can even.
Canada does the same thing.
And you know that if they're investigating you in the UK, if you leave a window open, they can climb in it legally. The police can climb in your window if it's open.
All right,
And
so when you go get you some fishing line, I'm just kidding.
well, this this case here, I thought, well, shit, man, I hope they don't start investigating online murders because I've killed a fuck of a lot of people in Call of Duty, and I'd hate to be investigated for that because they've got a screen I can pull up on my Call of Duty profile that has my total number of kills and everything. So
Yeah.
God, I hope I don't
I
start
did a lot of teabagging, brother.
yeah, for real. Yeah, I did some teabagging and then yeah, that's pretty crazy stuff. But what do you think about this? Do you think we're looking at for something like that happening here in the U.S.? Do you think we're light years away from that, or
No, I don't think. I think we're already there. If things keep going the way they are, and we don't get our big, hell in the cell, Vince McMahon's Corvettes getting stolen or filled with concrete. You know what I mean? Like Stone Cold's gonna take a sledgehammer to it, and then everybody's, we're gonna win. Everything's gonna get fixed. That
yeah?
doesn't happen. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still
I don't
waiting
see
on
that.
Trump to come in and just start stone cold stunnering everybody, and I just don't know if that's realistic, man. I'd like to
I
see that
know.
happen too, but you
Yeah,
know,
I don't. That's like I said. That's the best case scenario. But it is all just a big fiasco. But oh man, I swear, I think the most like worst situations he gets in there and he just doesn't fire anyone, and you know what I mean. Like that's just I
yeah,
think that is what would push it over the edge. That would even make his constituents
oh
upset.
for real, yeah. And he
Dude,
was
that would
talking
that would
about because they allocated money to build the FBI new building or something in a law that was passed, and um Trump said something to the effect of, "Oh no, they shouldn't be moving out of D.C. They should be building a big, beautiful new FBI building." It's like, dude, you should be saying no, they shouldn't be moving anywhere. They should just go ahead and pack up their stuff because I'm going to disband the agency
Mhm.
once I get
Yep.
in. That's what we want to hear from him, but not happening. But maybe I don't know.
We wouldn't have to be going through any of this if Ron Paul could have stopped putting in.
For
Who
real.
knows?
Yeah, but the machine that turned on Ron Paul turned on Trump too, but Trump was the only one who could handle that machine was the only thing. He didn't have the policy or the
The
wisdom or the
bridge.
expertise, any of that of Ron Paul, but or even Rand Paul. But by God, if he didn't know how to just totally destroy the media machine, and that if nothing else, okay, like Luke of Earl, if you're watching, man, I know you got it let down on a lot of things, but for one, there was a definitely a wrench thrown in the gears of the overall plan because Hillary Clinton we're supposed to be in the 7th year of Hillary Clinton right now, and for two, look at the trust in the media. He devastated the media. So many people believed all the crap that came through, and year after year after year, almost everything they said about him was a lie, and so that really woke so many people up to the fact that, okay, even Fox News is playing a game here. They're all playing the same game, and a lot of these things are probably blackmailed, like people like Jeffrey Epstein. That again, Epstein's not the only game, and he's definitely not the only player. So this thing goes higher than him, and the reason that all those files that Aaron was talking about and all those videos and CDs weren't released is probably because whoever got them gave them to their master, which was Epstein's master, because everybody in them, everybody was already blackmailed. All those files they probably found, they were already turned over probably to whoever Epstein's master was. I'm sure he kept some for himself to try to, protect himself, kind of a dead man's switch, which McAfee was alleged to have had too, which we haven't seen.
Yep.
So he never said when it would come, but he said he had a dead man's switch, and McAfee was a madman, so I totally believe him when he said that. But anyway, thank y'all for joining us tonight. Get off here. It's 10:48, and we will be back this Sunday. We're going to get into an episode with Moose Trainwreck Roberts. He's going to be with us in the studio. It's not going to be a live show. We're going to pre-record, and then we will premiere it at 10 o'clock that night, and we'll be live in the chat. So we look forward to seeing you there. Again, follow Aaron on X. Follow Aaron on Armageddon Hour on YouTube. Follow us on X, follow us on YouTube and Rumble, and we will see you on Sunday. Anything else you want to leave us with tonight?
Moose is awesome. Make sure you check out the Moose when Moose comes on, man. Check his music out too.
Moose is one of he's always one of our most fun shows. We never where it's going to go. He surprised us last time. Usually we talk about music and just what we talk about, whatever Moose wants to, pretty much, and that's the way we like it.
And that guy can play the hell out of some blues too. Man.
Yes, he can. But
yeah,
he the last time he surprised us telling us about his Uncle Don's buddy who would go off into the woods and meditate. He would stand on one hand like a Jedi, and sometimes a great big light would come down in the middle of the night, and Uncle Don would be gone for a couple days, and then he'd come back like nothing happened. So, or Uncle Don's friend would. So Moose gave us a great story there that I wasn't expecting, and he also told us about the chicken cult of Fentress County. So Sean, if you're down there in Fentress County, let us know if you've joined the chicken cult. We have, I said basically these folks were, the chickens were like the way of life. Everything revolved around the chickens. So anyway. That was a fun talk. He told us about when he lived there. He ran off and lived there when he was a teenager. But anyway, that's all we got for tonight. We will see you on Sunday night. Thank you ever so much for joining us. Much love. Bye, everybody.